The Istanbul Cipher, Chapter 15. The lock surrendered with a soft click, almost reluctant. Emre gave a nod, and we slipped through the side door like ghosts. No alarms, no creaks. Just the hush of long-abandoned space swallowing our footsteps. Inside, the air shifted. Cool, heavy, thick with a scent of damp wood and old stone. Debris littered the floor, cracked scaffolding, rusted nails, lengths of cable like dead vines. But behind it all, something pulsed. A pressure, like the space was holding its breath. Isla led us toward a back wall that didn't match the original plans she'd overlaid. Her flashlight beam traced an outline, too clean, too recent. "Here," she whispered. Sibyl and Emre joined her, hands working in silence. The panel was sheet metal, screwed into cheap drywall. Behind it, old brick. And then, hollow knock. My pulse stuttered. They pried back the false wall. Dust curled around us like smoke. Then came the reveal. An arch. A cracked, soot-stained archway leading into a curved room. Not big, but wide enough for 20 people to kneel shoulder to shoulder. The walls held layers of tile and plaster, some geometric, some faded iconography. Muslim, Christian, Armenian, Orthodox. All of it sharing the same sacred breath. I stepped forward, knees aching, and just stopped. Sibyl whispered. They hid it behind a warehouse. That's why it survived. No one spoke for a moment. Even Emre lowered his gear. I pulled out my notebook but didn't open it. Some things didn't need to be written yet. Some things needed to be witnessed. Then Sibyl lifted her tablet and tapped the overlay. A shimmer bloomed across the walls. Our reconstructions flickering into view. Whole patterns reformed. A sanctuary reassembled. And at the far wall, a glint. The mosaic. A circle of clasped hands. Symbols braided together. Beneath them, words we hadn't seen before. Sibyl read them aloud, her voice low but steady. We were many names, one prayer. Bury us, and we will rise in story. Layla stepped in beside Sibyl, eyes wide. Is it real? She whispered. Sibyl didn't answer. She didn't need to. Her fingers hovered over the tablet, then tapped record. Isla swept her thermal scanner across the rear wall. The temperature spiked along the arch of the mosaic, trapped heat from hollow space behind. Cavity confirmed, she said. This wall isn't solid. Could be a burial niche, or a memory vault. Emre dropped to his knees, already typing. The portable server whirred to life beside him, its antenna blinking like a firefly in the dark. AR overlay online. Livestream initiating. Now. Sibyl steadied the camera feed while Emre pushed it live. On screen, the sanctuary pulsed in digital light, overlaying fractured reality with a truth that had survived everything. Layla stepped into the frame and spoke in Turkish, then English. This is not myth. This is memory. Hidden, not lost. A prayer once said in 4 tongues, under one roof. This is what they tried to erase. I felt it like a gut punch. They weren't preserving the past. They were reviving it. Pings started hitting Emre's screen. Comments flooded the stream. Where is this? Is this real? I thought this church was a legend. My grandmother told me stories about this place. Students, historians, strangers, all chiming in. Isla leaned over Emre's shoulder. That's Barcelona. That one's Beirut. Someone from Sarajevo just reposted it. Sibel's hands trembled as she zoomed in on the mosaic. "We've gone global." Layla grinned. "We just lit the fuse." I watched them, lit by projection, breathing history, making history. For a moment, I forgot everything else. Forgot the danger, forgot the warnings. They had done it. They had pulled the past into the present and dared it to speak. And then, the lights hit. White light exploded through the sanctuary. Flood lamps, halogen, official. We froze. The old ceiling groaned as footsteps echoed above. Boots, not sneakers. Then the sound of shoes, polished, approaching. Out of the haze stepped Hakan Kadir. Pressed charcoal gray suit, a small, superior smile. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. "This is an unauthorized intrusion," he said smoothly, "into protected cultural property." Behind him, uniformed officers began fanning out. 2 plainclothes men carried black Pelican cases, the kind used to haul evidence or weapons, or both. "Don't shut it down," Emre muttered, fingers flying across the keyboard. "Just 30 more seconds." One of the officers yanked his laptop away and dropped it into a bag. "Step back." "Those are private student materials," I said, stepping between them. Kadir looked at me like I'd offered him a bad wine pairing. "Mr. Merritt," he said with just enough ice, "your visa status is now under review." There it is. The power play. The real message wasn't for me. It was for the kids. You don't matter. Not in this system. "You have no right," Siebel said. Her voice cracked. "This site predates the zoning code. It's religious history." "Alleged," Kadir replied. He turned toward the mosaic, crouching beside it like a man inspecting tile for a new kitchen. A nice bit of myth, but this was never a registered church, just rumors. Urban fantasy. Isla tried to hide her phone, but they saw. One of the men reached for it. "Give that here." Layla stepped forward. "We know what this place is." We proved it. Hakan didn't even look at her. "Preservation," he said, brushing non-existent dust from his knee, "is not a popularity contest. You've overstepped." Then he smiled. Not kindly, not cruelly, just completely sure he'd won. I stepped forward, jaw tight. "Who authorized this?" Kadir stood, smoothing his blazer like we were at a donor gala. This building was condemned in 1987, reclassified as a utility warehouse in 1994. Demolition approved and then stayed, then forgotten. And now, officially, sealed. He nodded toward a man in uniform, who unfurled a plastic document sleeve and pressed it against the entry wall. Big red letters. "Do not enter. Dangerous structure under investigation." Siebel held out the only thing she still had, a print of the mosaic photograph, slightly crumpled, torn at the corner. "You can't erase this." An officer snatched it from her hand. "Actually," Kadir said, gently rolling the paper, "I can." "Don't lose it, Zach. Don't give him the satisfaction." But I couldn't keep still. "You knew what was here. You knew, and you buried it again." "I didn't bury anything," he said. "I'm just keeping order." He turned to the officers. "Finish the collection." Devices vanished into evidence bags. Even Isla's stylus. Even Emre's spare battery pack. It was surgical, efficient. Sibyl stood frozen, eyes wide, jaw clenched like she might scream or break. Layla reached for her, just a hand to the shoulder. But Sibyl shook it off. Her eyes didn't leave the mosaic, which already looked dimmer under the overhead light. "Look at it," Layla said, voice cracking. "You're standing in the middle of everything Istanbul used to be. And you think this is about permits?" Kadir paused, expression unreadable. Then softly, "This was supposed to stay forgotten." That was it. That one line told me everything. He's not just here to protect a building. He's here to protect a version of history that keeps people like these kids out of the story. And he was damn good at it. Kadir's team moved like they'd rehearsed it. No raised voices, no shouts, just quiet procedural erasure. Emre tried to back up our files onto a portable drive, but one of the men in suits yanked his laptop mid-process. The upload bar flickered and vanished. "Wait!" Emre lunged, but I caught his arm. "Don't," I whispered. "They're waiting for us to resist." Ayla's fingers hovered above her phone screen, the blank blue of a failed connection glowing in her eyes. The stream's dead. Every relay's offline. Sibyl stared at the mosaic, her breath ragged. We were right. All of it. And now, they'll say it was never here, Layla said, voice flat. That it was all a glitch. A game. Kadir turned to me, casually. "Mr. Merritt, your visa status is under review. I suggest you refrain from further extracurricular activities, for your sake and theirs." He didn't need to raise his voice. The threat was precision cut, delivered with bureaucratic detachment. I swallowed hard. My gut churned, not with fear, but fury. "You smug bastard." Then I saw her, Sibyl, clutching the empty space where the photo had been, fingers trembling. Layla reached for her again, this time gently. No resistance. Just a small nod between them, and something in me cracked. We'd handed them proof, and they'd taken it like trash. But we weren't empty-handed, not entirely. In my blazer pocket, my old backup phone buzzed once, just once, on silent. I slipped it out under my notebook and tapped the corner. A small, blinking message slid across the screen. Encrypted upload. Partial file saved. Fragment 47B. I didn't show it, just exhaled slow, steady. We got a piece out. It's not over. We stood in a crooked line outside the building like expelled students. Nothing heroic, just dazed, empty-handed. Our breath fogged in the night air, even though it wasn't cold. The door clanked shut behind us with the kind of finality you feel in your chest. Red and white caution tape stretched across the entrance. A new sign, already bolted in place, read, "Dangerous structure. No entry. Official seal." Like truth could be cordoned off with warning labels. Layla stared at it, unmoving. "We had it," she murmured. "We had the story, the proof, and they erased it." Sibyl sat down on the curb without a word. Her fingers ran absently over the creases where she'd kept the mosaic photo. Gone. Isla kicked a stone, hard. It skittered across the cracked asphalt and hit the caution sign with a hollow clink. What now? They have everything. Not everything, Emre muttered, pulling his hoodie tighter around his face. They didn't get the backup I ran to the off-site node. He glanced at me, then clarified for the others. Zach knows. They looked at me like I was holding a candle in a collapsing tunnel. I nodded once. A fragment made it out. Not the whole mosaic, but part. Enough. Enough for what? Layla asked. I paused. Then, to prove it existed. To prove someone tried to erase it. And to start asking the right people the wrong questions. The silence that followed wasn't hopeless. It was loaded, wired with the charge of people who had lost something real and knew they had to fight to get it back. Behind us, a shadow shifted in a nearby alley. I turned, but it was just a stray cat, yellow-eyed and silent. Still, the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I opened my notebook and scribbled one line under today's date. You don't kill a story by burying it. You just teach it to grow underground. And in that moment, I knew. This wasn't the end of the mystery. It was the start of the war.